She's 78. And women half her age are copying these 7 fashion rules. She's 78 years old, and women in their 30s are studying the way she gets dressed like it's homework. Her name is Margot Fontaine. She has 7 rules. None of them cost money. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the internet can't stop copying her. I'm Claire, and this is Radiant Women Official. Hit subscribe because we're about to go through all 7. Rule number 1 is what Margot calls the breathing gap. Most women choose a summer top by how it looks in a changing room mirror under cool, flat light before the day has had a chance to ruin it. Margot judges a garment differently. She judges it at 3 in the afternoon, in real heat. After it's been on her body for 6 hours, does it still hold its own shape, or has it collapsed against her skin like wet paper? That single question eliminates almost everything synthetic. Thin, shiny fabric has no structure of its own. The moment you sweat even slightly, it clings, it maps every curve, and it stays stuck there for the rest of the day. Dense, matte, natural fabric behaves completely differently. Heavy linen, cotton, poplin, structured denim. These fabrics have enough backbone to hold themselves slightly away from your skin, and that thin gap of air is what actually keeps you cool, not the color, not the cut. And here's the part nobody tells you. That gap does something visually, too. When cloth hovers instead of clinging, you read as a woman the heat isn't touching. Everyone else on the street is peeling their shirt off their back, and she looks completely unbothered. People will call that elegance. It's actually just fabric choice, and you can buy it at any store. Rule number 2 is the subtraction rule, and it's the one that trips up almost everyone watching this. Margot's belief is that outfits rarely fail because they're too plain. They fail because they're carrying too much information at once. A print, a shiny bracelet, a scarf, a bold necklace, patterned shoes, and the eye doesn't know where to land. So it lands nowhere, and nothing about you gets remembered. Her rule is simple and almost annoying in how effective it is. Before you leave the house, remove one item. The scarf you added because the outfit felt unfinished. The second bracelet. The necklace that's competing with your earrings. A friend of mine tried this before a work dinner, mostly to prove it was nonsense. She wore a navy dress with absolutely nothing else. No necklace, no scarf, no cardigan. She came home almost irritated because 5 people had complimented how she looked and not one of them mentioned the dress. That's the rule working exactly as designed. When you strip away the noise, there's only one place left for attention to go, and that's your face. This is also why it works so well on camera and on the street for younger women who live inside a nonstop scroll of visual noise. A woman who walks in wearing 3 quiet, deliberate pieces reads like silence in a loud room. It's memorable precisely because it isn't shouting. If you're getting something out of these first 2 rules, stay with me, because rule 3 is the one Margot says most women get backwards. And it's the difference between looking put together and looking like you're wearing a uniform. Rule number 3 is what she calls tension dressing. Here's the trap with minimalism nobody warned you about. Without any contrast, simple stops looking elegant and starts looking like a filing cabinet. Gray trousers, gray sweater, gray shoes, technically correct, completely forgettable. Margot's fix is to always put 2 opposing textures in the same outfit and let them argue with each other a little. Something structured against something fluid. A sharp blazer with real shoulder worn over a soft knit that pours instead of holds its shape. A crisp cotton shirt paired with linen trousers that move like water when you walk. Leather against cashmere. One piece holds a hard line, the other refuses to hold any line at all, and that contrast is what makes an outfit look assembled instead of accidental. Where people mess this up is treating the soft piece like an afterthought tossing on any old cardigan because it's just the cozy layer. Margot chooses her soft pieces with exactly the same care as her. Structured ones, the right weight, the right length, so it lands exactly where she wants your eye to stop. I watched a woman in her 70s pull this off perfectly at a farmer's market. A stiff canvas jacket, the kind with actual brass buttons, thrown over a long, soft dress worn with flat sandals. The jacket said no nonsense. The dress said, I have somewhere to be tonight. She was buying tomatoes and looked better than everyone within 50 feet of her, and nothing she had on was expensive. That's the trick. Get the texture tension right, and even a single color outfit will look expensive because the interest is coming from what the fabric is doing, not from what it cost. Rule number 4 is about color. And this is the one that explains why some women's outfits look expensive even when they aren't. Margot builds every outfit around one saturated neutral, usually navy, deep taupe, or a rich teal, and she stays inside one temperature the whole way through, either all warm tones or all cool tones, never mixed. That consistency is what reads as expensive, not the price tag. The cohesion, and she avoids 4 colors specifically for very precise reasons. Muddy beige is the first. It pulls a gray, sallow cast up into the skin, while a clean, warm neutral does the opposite and gives the face something to sit against. Acid brights are the second. The saturation is loud, but it's flat, so instead of glowing, it just glares, and it pulls all the attention onto the fabric and away from the woman wearing it. Washed out pastels are third. They sit too close in value to pale or graying skin, and the whole picture blurs into one soft smear with no edges. And the fourth one surprises almost everyone. Ashy, cool, gray. It feels safe. It is not safe. Put ash gray next to silver hair, and the two cancel each other out. Instead of looking silver and deliberate, the hair just reads as faded. Silver hair needs something dark and warm sitting behind it to look intentional. Navy behind silver hair looks striking. Ash gray behind it looks like nothing at all. A woman I know switched from head to toe beige to a deep teal for one summer, and people kept asking her where she'd been on vacation. She hadn't gone anywhere. The color was doing the work a holiday usually gets credit for. We're halfway through Margot's rules, and if you've made it this far, the next one is probably the most misunderstood piece of style advice that actually works, so don't skip ahead. Rule number 5 is what she calls the careless drape, and it borrows from an old Italian idea, the art of making something carefully decided look completely accidental. In practice, it's 2 habits. First, expensive things get handled casually, not preciously. A good sweater doesn't just go on, it goes over. Knotted at the shoulders, slung around the neck without symmetry. A silk scarf is never arranged and pinned. It looks like she grabbed it on the way out the door and it simply landed where it landed. Second, one part of every outfit is left deliberately undone. A collar left open instead of buttoned to the top, cuffs pushed up the forearm instead of button closed. A coat belt knotted loosely instead of cinched tight. Both habits do the same psychological work. A perfectly finished, pressed, buttoned-up outfit announces effort, and effort announces that the result mattered enormously to you. One undone element makes the whole thing exhale. It stops looking like a costume and starts looking like a woman who simply exists inside her own clothes. But there's a limit, and it's easy to overshoot. One undone thing reads as ease. 3 reads as a woman who got dressed in the dark. What holds the whole look together is that everything else has to be immaculate, clean, pressed, properly fitted, so the one loose end reads as a choice and not an accident. Rule number 6 is proportion, and this is where style stops being taste and starts being almost mathematical. Margot never splits her body 50-50. A jacket that stops exactly at mid-thigh, a hemline that cuts the leg exactly in half, that even split visually, compresses the body and freezes it in place. Instead, she works in a 60-40 split. Move that break higher or lower, and the eye travels across you instead of stopping dead at one horizontal line, and a traveling eye reads a body as taller and longer automatically. The break usually sits at the natural waist, with one loose element playing against one fitted one, a loose trouser under a fitted top, or a voluminous shirt over a narrow leg. Never loose against loose, which is the single most common mistake I see the moment women discover linen. A loose shirt and a loose trouser worn together, and the body just disappears somewhere in the middle of all that fabric. Where exactly that break should land depends on your shape, and it's worth a moment. If you carry weight through the hips, a defined shoulder on top paired with a wide-legged trouser that skims the floor turns your whole lower half into one long, unbroken column. If you have a straight frame with no defined waist, you can manufacture a paper bag waist trouser, a sash, a belt, and a contrasting shade, all create the illusion. If your shoulders are broader, add volume underneath. Instead, a full skirt with movement in it, and keep the neckline plain so it doesn't compete. And right before she walks out the door, Margot runs one final check: the cuffs, the collar, and the hem. If those 3 edges are crisp and sitting exactly where they should, an oversized outfit reads as designed. If even one of them is crumpled or twisted, the exact same outfit reads as sloppy. Nobody consciously clocks those 3 points. Everybody reacts to them anyway. And now the last rule, and Margot is very clear that without this one, the other 6 just produce a well-dressed woman that nobody actually remembers. Rule number 7 is the ownership shift, and it isn't a garment at all. Most women past 60 have been trained for decades quietly and politely to dress in order to disappear. Cover the arms. Nothing too bright, nothing too young for your age. It gets dressed up as good taste, but it functions as an instruction, and because most women follow it, it works. They genuinely do become harder to see. The ownership shift is the refusal of that instruction. You dress from the inside out. You choose whatever makes you feel like yourself in the mirror first, and the world's opinion is allowed to show up afterward, if it shows up at all. Margot wears her hair fully silver, uncovered, uncorrected. Her makeup is minimal, and it's aimed at skin that's been cared for, not skin that's being hidden. Neither of those choices is a surrender to her age. Both are a decision that what she actually looks like is the starting material, not a flaw to fix before she's allowed out the door. And the difference shows up in the body, not the clothes. Women who are dressing to disappear tend to stand smaller, shoulders curled in, bag held across the front like a shield, arms crossed. Women dressing from the inside out stand up straight and move at their own pace, and that carries across a room faster than any outfit ever could. I know a woman who cut her hair short and stopped dyeing it at 74 after nearly 2 decades of appointments she'd long since stopped enjoying. She told me the strange part wasn't how she looked afterward. It was that she stopped rehearsing what she'd say if someone commented on it. She doesn't walk into a room hoping to be noticed anymore. She walks in already fully occupying herself. 6 of Margot's rules are craft fabric, color, texture, proportion, the way an edge sits. You can learn every one of them in a single season, on any budget. But the 7th is the one that decides what the other 6 are even for. Getting dressed stops being a defense against being seen, and it becomes the way you simply arrive somewhere. That shift was available to her at 40. It's available at 78. And it's available to you this morning in whatever's already hanging in your closet. If this gave you even one thing to try tomorrow, subscribe to Radiant Women Official. We walk through a new one of these every week, and I'll see you in the next video.